Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Wonder what we're talking about today. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Texas Family Fitness, Freeman Mazda Hyundai, and Worth the Poor. I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Saddens me that we got to talk about this, but it must be brought up. Obviously, today, I wasn't here Friday, so today we will go over this Kelvin Joseph thing, right? There are implications for the Cowboys moving forward when it comes to the roster, but just as a person, there's just some terrible things. There's a trend as well. Y'all know me. I'm always finding these little trends. But I got a mixed review on this trend, so I want to hear from my morning show viewers how y'all feel about said trend. It may not be a trend to y'all. To me, I think it kind of is. And then we'll hit the mailbag today. We were going to do the mailbag Friday. Didn't happen, so we'll do the mailbag today. So make sure y'all stick around for that. Just make sure that works. Okay, that's there. We might check in everything, making sure everything is good. You know, this is a one-man show. So, yeah, I don't got a producer. I don't got any of that stuff. So I got to make sure everything is good. Got the mic good. Got the view good. We got the notes here. We're ready to go on this Monday. It is April 18th, 2022. We are a week and a half away from the NFL draft, which may have taken a slight turn. Maybe it didn't to some people. May have taken a slight turn, though, with the Cowboys in regards to their needs. Did not go to the fight, Derek, but wow, hell of a fight. Hell of a fight. I was just telling my lady, if they do, if the next fight is in Vegas or what have you, I definitely want to go see Bud and go see Spence. I definitely have to see that one in person, man. That one in person. Yeah, Ian, we'll talk about all that stuff. We'll talk about that. TC said, did you see the FCF league? I did not see the fan league. I saw the highlights, and T.O. got his little touchdown. USFL was on this weekend. It was a very busy sports weekend. You had the FCF. You had USFL. You had the fight, right? And then, obviously, you had the Dallas Cowboys news, which we'll get to here in a second. In fact, let's kind of do that right now because there's been conversations throughout this offseason by Cowboys fans. Is this the worst offseason in Cowboys history? Debatable. I will say this, though. This is the most embarrassing offseason during this drought. Right? During this 26-year drought, that I can remember, at least in the 2000s. I don't know. Maybe some crazier things have happened. Maybe there was a worse offseason between 96 and 2000. But this is embarrassing. Look at the list here. You got the Rich scandal, right? The peeping, looking at the cheerleaders, recording them. That came out. Probably shouldn't have been with the Cowboys, but he stayed on for a while. And then that kind of trickled into Jerry's daughter and Rich. We don't know what happened there. And then Jerry paid off the cheerleaders. All that stuff came out. Then you had the Jerry baby mama drum. Who cares about what he did in his past life? But that came out. The Randy Gregory debacle. And that was just, come on, man. McCarthy and Jerry were kind of going back and forth, war of words in the offseason in a sense. The free agency activity essentially has been a joke. Amari Cooper gets traded for a two-piece and a biscuit. And I'm talking about one of those Popeye biscuits, right? They'll make your throat dry. Lyle Collins cut for nothing, but cuts happen, right? And then maybe the worst. One of your players are involved with a homicide. Kelvin Joseph is shotgun literally to a murder. Which, by the way, I want to send my deepest condolences to Cameron Ray's family, 20-year-old man, young man, who lost his life during that ridiculous altercation. I'm no detective. I don't know what happened in regards to why that had to happen, right? There was a fight or what have you. We'll get to those details. But I think we've all been on that side of losing someone. And some of us have been involved in losing someone to gun violence. I know I have, whether it's been friends or family. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks. So my condolences and thoughts and prayers are with that family. But this whole situation kind of made me think about what one of my coaches told me back in high school, Coach Richter, Kenny Richter, still high legend, and I thought he did a hell of a good job at East High. He was a teacher, too. I think, was our health teacher. He said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. At the time, it really didn't resonate, but as I got older, even as a teenager and a young adult, it definitely did. And looking at this weekend's events, that rang so loud. Boss man, Kelvin Joseph can make his own decisions, and he should make his own decisions, and he should make the right decisions. And maybe he finally did, but we'll talk about that. But when you're an athlete, and this goes for more than just sports, but when you're an athlete, not everyone can come with you on your journey, right? Like at some point, you got to leave those kind of folks back home, away from you, whatever. And people laughed and you know, and made fun of Chris Carter when he talked about the fall guy and things like that. I think we're seeing that play out. But in regards to who you surround yourself around, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. My coach told me that, and it stuck with me. I would tell my brother that, because I love my brother to death, but he was hanging around with the wrong folk. I was hanging around with the wrong folk at one point. And that expression came to me a few times with this particular person. I won't say names, but just know I was with someone, cops were involved. We had to go to court, you know, and eventually we got a slap on the wrist. We were young, thank goodness, but my future could have been messed up. But what made me say, all right, I'm done with this dude. I came back home from school. We're on break, hanging out. I'm like, yo, we just chilling, right? We go to this place. It's not just chilling. Looked over to my other friend I was with. I said, listen, man, we're on what we're on. I can't be here. Right? Police. I got to go. We make the decision to go out the back, et cetera, et cetera. I looked over to Josh, who had broke his arm because of the situation. And I said, never again will I hang with this person. Never again. This is 2 times he's put me in these situations. I'm in school. You know, I'm trying to finish school. I'm trying to better my future. But this man has now put me in 2 of the worst situations in the last 6 to 7 months of my life. Never again. And I never hung out with the man ever again. To this day, I haven't seen him. I ran across him years ago, but I haven't seen him. And that just reminded me, this whole Kelvin Joseph situation reminded me, be careful, you know, who you're with. You're a high profile athlete now. You got to make better decisions. You do. Now, we'll see what happens moving forward, and we're going to get into what should happen with Kelvin Joseph here. But when I get into the roundup, it's going to be kind of a timeline, and then coming out of the roundup, we'll talk about the trend that I'm talking about that I think is concerning. Very concerning. I didn't give no shout outs, but what's up, man? Toxic says, sounds like the bird. Listen, man, what I went through goes on anywhere. You don't got to just be in Harrisburg. I mean, that's everywhere in America, in the world, wherever. You have to choose who you hang with, you know, correctly moving forward. As a kid, you know, it is what it is. But when you become mature, you start to mature in your brain. You know, you need to start making better decisions. And Kelvin Joseph is young, but he needs to have someone around him to guide him a little bit better. No matter what happens, whether he's cut, whether he's suspended, whether he's with this team or not, his life is still going to go on, clearly, because of the decisions that he made. But he needs to have better people around him. Period. All right, let's get into this roundup, which is going to review this whole situation.
It's about that time.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
This is the morning roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness. We're more than just a fitness club. We provide the tools, support, and resources you need to achieve your goals. So strive for progress, not perfection. Fitness goals are not accomplished with one workout. Progress towards those goals with Texas Family Fitness. All right, essentially, we're going to run through this timeline as quickly as possible here for those who may not know. I guess there might be some people here that are watching. So, Thursday after the show, I get a text. Hey, man, this looks weird. Take a look at this. Homicide involving potentially a Cowboys player. And then the news drops later that day. Police put out a video to the public to seek help finding a group of men that were involved in the homicide that took place in March, by the way, literally almost a month apart. In the video, it showed a group instigating a fight, then executing a drive-by shooting out of a black SUV that led to Cameron Ray's death. The black SUV, we found out, was Kelvin Joseph's SUV. Then the person in the picture on the elevator was Kelvin Joseph. Later, he became a person of interest in the homicide, and the police requested to speak with him. His lawyer would then come out and state that Kelvin Joseph was a passenger in the SUV, but he was not the shooter. Thought that was a bit interesting that he came out and said that right away. Okay. Then he ended up speaking with the police department. The next day, 2 men were arrested, but Kelvin Joseph was not charged with anything. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be a lawyer. I don't know the laws in Texas. So maybe some lawyer friends here, if you got lawyer friends and you know the laws, let us know. But I was a bit surprised that there were no charges brought. But then when you think about it, it most likely came because Kelvin pretty much protected himself. Let them know so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. And I'm protecting my future. Okay, so those 2 men were arrested. Kelvin Joseph was not charged. The Cowboys put out a statement. This is what it said. The Dallas Cowboys are aware of a tragic incident that occurred in Dallas on March 18th. First and foremost, our hearts go out to Mr. Ray's family and loved ones. The organization is aware of Kelvin Joseph's possible connection to this incident. We are in contact with the Dallas law enforcement and have alerted the NFL offices. We have no further comment at this time. The NFL office has been made aware, and they are investigating the situation under the misconduct policy. I'll say this. At the very least, Kelvin Joseph will be suspended. At the very least. How long? We'll see. I don't even know if they dished out the penalty for Henry Ruggs just yet. But you have to think that some type of suspension is coming down. If the Cowboys don't cut him. And that's something I've been kind of going back and forth with, not amongst fans, just kind of with myself, because you got the moral part of this whole situation. This is a serious situation. He was involved in a homicide. There's no getting away from it. He was involved, whether he pulled the trigger or not. On one hand, I'm like, well, where do you meet the line with the Cowboys, right? And then you start thinking, well, this is the Dallas Cowboys. There probably is no line. When you go sign a Greg Hardy, right, when the rich stuff, is there even a line? If this was a different organization, maybe you might say, okay, it's time to cut ties. This is not what we do here. But morally speaking, and for Kelvin Joseph's sake, maybe he needs to take time away from this game and get himself together. Make his, figure out ways to make better decisions and to grow up. I have a hard time believing, and I could be wrong. Maybe he got boys that are tight on this team, but I have a hard time believing, Cowboys Nation, players are going to gravitate towards this young man in the locker room. For a multitude of reasons, right? He's trouble. That's obvious. And can I trust him? So do you cut your losses and just move on? And that got me to thinking, damn, this is another guy that came with baggage, that came with question marks coming out of college for a multitude of reasons, whether it be party aspect, attitude aspect, the want to, the initiative, not getting along with his coaches, locker room. There was a lot of things that came with Kelvin. They said they did a background check. They said he was fine, et cetera, et cetera. And they took him over. We know Asante Samuel and things like that. That's frustrating. I'm not going to lie to you. That is frustrating when you do a hindsight situation. But that got me to thinking, Dallas loves those second round gambles. So let me go back and look at the second round. Well, it ain't just the gambles where there are issues with that second round. Just in general. And I am curious, Cowboys Nation, how y'all feel about these picks over the last 10 years or so. Because I put this out on Twitter just to kind of get a sense of the nation. And when I went and looked at the responses, I got what I thought was the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's all dependent on how you looked at it. Some fans were satisfied that, hey, they gave us something. Some fans looked at the bigger picture. Some looked at it as, hey, man, they made it through 4 years. Success. So let's take a deeper dive here. Right now, you got Kelvin Joseph, right? In 2021, we don't know what's going to happen with this. He probably should be cut. He probably should be cut. I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves here. So if he's cut, that's a lost pick. You got Diggs, who was an all-pro. Great. So that's a plus if we were doing, where are they at here? That's a plus. Tristan Hill in 2019. Who is now your 4th defensive tackle on the team. I'd say that's a bad pick there. That didn't work out. I don't care if he gave us something. It didn't work out. Connor Williams, who is no longer on the team from 2018 draft, is now with Miami. That's one of those things where beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some will say it's a 4-year starter, gave you good reps and all this and all that. I would say probably not. You're probably not happy with that pick. You benched him in his final year. You didn't want to bring him back. I look at his success as you want to bring these guys back, but you didn't really want to bring him back. And he led the league in penalties this last year. His first 2 years were very His last 2 years, his play was better, but he gave up a lot of penalties. So that one is in the eye. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. However you want to take it with Connor Williams. To me, I'm not looking at that as a success. I'm sorry. Cheetah Bay Awuzie in 2017. Before everyone starts to talk about, well, Cheeto is balling in Cincinnati, by the way, he's in Cincinnati. Let's remember when he was in Dallas. A lot of y'all was not feeling Cheeto. A lot of y'all weren't feeling him. Was he okay? Yeah, he was an okay player. There's no doubt about it. He was an okay player. But he's no longer here. It wasn't like his contract was this ridiculous contract. They didn't want Cheeto back. Do I look at that as a success? I guess that depends. Jalen Smith. I'm sorry. I don't look at that as a success. Drafted in 2016. Missed that year, obviously, because of the knee. Wasn't sure if he was going to play. Had that great year in 2018. And that's pretty much the best you got out of Jalen. And he was cut 2 years later. 2.5 years later, I should say. I don't think we're looking at Jalen. Oh, I mean, are we? Let me look at it. Because some people look at Jalen Smith and will say success. I'm not calling that a success. By the way, you could argue Kelvin Joseph, Tristan Hill, and Jalen Smith were gambles. Tristan Hill came in with baggage. He was not well liked on that staff at UCF. Was benched essentially because he had an attitude problem. Jalen, we know the baggage he came in with. He didn't have a knee. Then you look at Gregory in 2015. This one is the trickiest one on this entire list. Because if you really look at the total landscape of things over the last, 7 years he's been with Dallas, 6 years, whatever it's been, you have to say it's not necessarily a success. Because he was suspended for 50-something games, missing multiple seasons, and not really playing a full year. Now, last year was his best year of his career. The year before that, he had 6 sacks as well, I believe, but he was also suspended. Now, again, a lot of the suspension is not Randy Gregory's. I shouldn't say that. What he was suspended for is no longer a problem in the NFL. But Randy Gregory's situation is not an easy one because he gave you some good stuff, but he also did not play. So you could argue that wasn't a success either, but they did try to bring him back, but he's now in Denver, and we understand that whole debacle. D-Law, success. I mean, we multiple-time Pro Bowler. He's your defensive end one. He's arguably your second or third best defensive player, and that's only because Micah and Trevon Diggs. Gavin Escobar, failure, epic failure. Didn't have a second-round pick in 2012. Bruce Carter was okay, right? He had that great year, his final year in Dallas, where he had like 5 interceptions. 2014. Other than that, he was okay. Always hurt, though. Hurt guy. And then Sean Lee, I would consider a success, but he's obviously no longer here. Also another hurt guy, but it's hard for me to say too many things about Sean Lee. So when you're looking at this list, if I'm going to grade this on a hard scale, I'm looking at Diggs, D-Law, Sean Lee, and maybe you can maybe throw Gregory in there if we're looking at a long-term success hit rate. But I'm curious how y'all feel about this list because I got a mixed bag. To me, I look at it as this is not the greatest of trends. You have 3 guys on that list, and I have a hard time saying 3, but let's just go ahead and call it that. Jalen Smith, D-Law, and Sean Lee are the only guys to date. Diggs can't obviously get a contract extension just yet to get real second contracts with the Dallas Cowboys and be here. And 2 of the 3 really wasn't a great. Jalen got cut. Sean Lee might have been healthy for one of those years after he got his extension. So I'm curious, Cowboys Nation. Is this a trend you're okay with in the second round? I don't know. I haven't looked around the league. Maybe this is a great hit rate compared to the rest of the league, right? Hell, who knows? I ain't studying them. I'm looking at the Cowboys, and I'm looking at only a handful of guys that got second contracts and are with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Gregory, it's kind of not fair because they did offer the contract. It was about to be signed, and that thing went to crap. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little bit nervous about Diggs. If Diggs comes out and he has a good year, you're talking about $25+ million a year. And, man, that makes me nervous with the Dallas Cowboys and Stephen Jones. 25 for a corner? I don't know, bro. So, Professor O says we took Gavin Escobar 1 pick before Le'Veon. Oh, well, if you go look at all those, there's a lot of picks afterwards that you're just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I don't like our second round picks. I'm guessing you're saying, Trey. Gregory wasn't a success yet. We are bad in the third round, too. Hey, Matt, Professor, I didn't even go look in the third. I'm like, well, obviously, because, Kelvin Joseph is a second round pick. So I said, well, let me see, because this could be another failed, I don't want to call it project, but risk. There's no doubt about it. There was a risk taking Kelvin Joseph. They even talked about it. They said, if you go back and look at the after they drafted Kelvin Joseph, Stephen Jones talks about it. Jerry talks about it, looking into his background, things like that. Michael H says Diggs minus the multiple picks. I'm very. You're concerned. You're concerned about. Oh, okay, bro. I can't help you with that one. You're concerned about Diggs. Diggs is a wonderful young cornerback. Adrian says, nope, it needs to change, not because of hindsight and who we could have had, but because it's not necessary. And I think you're speaking of the risk factor. Do we need to trade our second round picks this year, says Tony. Nah, just be better. Right? Just be better. Steven, the time and money on the money was nothing. He was getting paid nothing, but the time spent on Randy never paid off. Sparks of what should have been but failed. I'm really going to follow this Randy Gregory situation for the rest of his career because he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires, right? And he's finally going to have a full off season. I think he had one last year, but it dinged up a little bit. So that means he's a young 30 years old. And pass rushers we've seen in this league can go on and play. It all depends on if he can stay healthy and out of trouble.
Super chat.
Super chat from Toxic Tom Downey. Burner account, let me say that. Appreciate you for the $5 donation. He says, Sky, for as adaptive as Jerry Jones is with business, he are antiquated with how to build a team. They make the same mistakes and take zero accountability. Hashtag toxic culture. Toxic culture. It feels that way. Ian says number one corner should be the third highest paid behind QB1 and DE1. Well, Ian, if he comes out and gets 5, 6, 7 picks or whatever it is and he has another successful year, Diggs is going to be highly paid. And I'm very curious to see how they go about it. Very curious. D.A. Lee said Diggs might be in Buffalo at the end of the contract. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if y'all want to call in and get in on this, it's 351-999-3787. Let me move that a little bit. Come on. Here we go. 351-999-3787 is the Pulse of the Nation hotline. Martin says Randy will be just fine. I believe that as well. The Lunatic. What's up, the Lunatic? How you doing, man? Professor O says the reason we miss so often with second-round picks is because the majority were first-round guys with risk factors. Yeah. So, this situation is sad in general. If you ask me what the Cowboys should do with Kelvin Joseph, I think for Kelvin's sake, for the Cowboys' sake, they probably should move on. I don't know if Dallas is the best place for him to be. And I think I had this conversation with a lot of Cowboys content creators after the season or after the draft pick. But you got to remember, the Cowboys, Dallas in general, right? Big city, big lights. The Cowboys, big city team, big lights. It may not be the best for guys that are trying to stay away from the spotlight, guys that have that kind of risk factor to them like Kelvin Joseph. So maybe he needs to be somewhere like Buffalo, Cincinnati, wherever, you know what I mean? Where it's, and I'm going to say it because they all say it, where it's more about football. And if it can't work out there, then it ain't going to work out nowhere, man. Gregory says the list is on par with the league. This is what happens when 75% of your picks, 75% of your pick class are the same. I remember a time when it was hard to get a job at McDonald's if you sport a tattoo. All right, kind of went to different things. So Gregory, you're saying that list, which again, that's why I said I didn't look across the league, but you're saying this is on par with the league. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I ain't looking around the rest of the league. But to me, if I only can get out of a 12-year span, Sean Lee, D. Law, Jalen Smith, and that's an asterisk because he was cut a year and a half into his deal, 2 years, whatever it was. But Sean Lee, D. Law, and I would hope Diggs, but we're talking about Sean Lee, D. Law, and Jalen Smith as my only guys that I kept here after the second round in 13 drafts. It's a bit concerning. And remember, we have to grade on a scale in Dallas. We don't go out and sign free agents. So I need my second round picks to hit and be here long term because we're not signing guys. So in the way that the Cowboys take risk in the draft, I would much rather they take that process and put it in free agency. I'd rather take a risk on a high-end player that I'm going to pay a couple extra bucks to than go draft a guy with one knee. Or draft a guy with character concerns to the fact of, does he even really like football? Hanging around with the wrong people. Will he, this is a trend. It wasn't like it was a perfect situation at Kentucky either. Do I want to draft a hurt guy? And take that risk and put it in free agency. Go get you a proven vet that can help you win. That's just me. So I look at it, and maybe that's why I'm hard on this list. And a lot of y'all are just like, oh, no. This is fine. This is a good hit rate. Is it, though? You need them to be guys. I need y'all to be dudes. Cheeto's not a dude. Connor's not a dude. Tristan's not a dude. Do I gotta bring up Escobar? We don't know what's going to happen with Kelvin Joseph, and I'm getting passionate about this because when you look at the grand scheme of things, it all ties into the way the Cowboys do work in the off season. It's frustrating. Man, it's frustrating. It doesn't make sense. You can take risk in those rounds when you build your team in multitude of ways. I can't take risk when I don't use the other two facets of team building. I need you to hit now. And I need you to hit long term at that. Really, more importantly, I need you to hit long term. I need you to be a cornerstone. Find me Find me out of these 12 drafts or whatever it's been, 5 cornerstones. You can't. I'll give you Diggs, I'll give you Gregory, and I'll give you Sean Lee. I'm sorry, not Gregory, D-Law. I'll give you Diggs, I'll give you D-Law, and I'll give you Sean Lee. That's it. So I'm gonna get off my high horse here. You know, I don't know how as a fan, because there's a lot of people, hey, everything's all right. How the hell? Rich Dalrymple, whatever his name is. Kelvin Joseph situation. Randy Gregory debacle. Cooper getting traded for a 2-piece and a biscuit. Baby mama drama. You signed 3 guys in the free agency at this point. One of them was, who the hell is he? None of them long term. This is frustrating. All you Skittles and Rainbows guys, at this point, man, I'm starting to question whether y'all being real with yourselves. And I'm not saying that this thing can't turn around. They go here, have a great draft. They can go in, sign guys, and you know, after the draft, some veterans that may still be hanging out there. But be honest with yourselves. This shit's embarrassing, man. That's all I'm gonna say about that. This shit's embarrassing. We got Reek on the horn. What's up, Reek? Let me get you in here, brother. What's going on with you?
Oh, what's going on, Skywalker Still? Good morning, Cowboy Nation. Hey, man, like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff, man. Sky's the best. I'm going to tell you like this, man. This dude is, he out of line. He definitely went going chasing waterfalls and all that good stuff. Still on this gang crap, and he in the NFL with his generational wealth that could change his family history, you know what I'm saying, down the line. And you know what I mean? And either way, even if he gets out of this, it still looks bad. It looks bad for him. It looks bad for the Cowboys. You know what I mean? Because you know the media is going to run that through the ringer just because he's on the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, you know, I feel bad for the young man that lost his life and all that. But my thing is like, what Kelvin Joseph is like, you still gonna have to, even if you get off, you still gonna have to watch your back. You don't know what his family members gonna be looking out for you. You know what I'm saying?
If we talking the street aspect of it, because I haven't even went there, yeah, that is something that, you know, they're probably probing like, hey man, did you tell? which
yeah.
I mean, let me ask you this: what would you do in that situation, right?
Shit, we wouldn't even be on that type of time. And we going to the club to go have a good time. But he should have. Me personally, you know what I'm saying? Either you gonna go down with the ship, or don't be on the ship. It's either one of the two. You know what I'm saying? He was on the ship, so it's like, damn, you kind of got to go down with the ship.
Ain't no way in hell. Hey, Rick. And see, I wasn't really going to bring this up, but you mean to tell me you didn't do the shooting, and it came down to, hey man, you either going to take this 25 to life because you was in that car, or you have a chance to save your career, your life, be there with your family, your kids, your dog. We ain't talking about in the street because he ain't in the street no more. All right, he a grown-ass man out here playing in the NFL. He got a big boy job. You mean to tell me you going to go down with whoever the hell it was that shot the guy next to him, or 2 people who they charged 2 people, so one of the 2. You going to go down with them because of street code?
Ooh, yeah,
brother.
I understand that.
Nino Brown told.
Yeah, I know dang well he ain't going down.
Frank
I know he
told.
wasn't going down with the ship. I know he ain't going down with the ship.
The mafia told for far more.
That's what I'm saying. My thing is like this. Hey, man, my thing is like, dude, only thing you can tell them dudes is like, yo, take the charge, and I'm whatever you need, your family need, I got you. That's the only thing he can say.
That's how it probably should have went down, right? Like, hey, man, listen.
Yeah.
I'm the pipeline. I ain't do it any goddamn way, but I can't be going down for this, because if I go down for this, who gonna take care of us?
Yeah.
And that's
exactly.
and that's if the man even still has a career, which he probably will, but that's if he still is able to play. We'll see. There's still time here.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to take long for the Cowboys to make a decision. I don't think it should take long for the Cowboys to make a decision. They got the facts. Now make the decision.
Yeah, because I see if he get cleared and everything, it's gonna be hard for him to stay in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if the Cowboys, if Steven really wants that kind of drama, why not trade him or release him? It's gonna be one of the two.
And that's what I meant by the culture in Dallas. Tom called it a toxic culture. If this was another organization, maybe you would say that. But this is Dallas, right? Like when I talked about the line. It honestly wouldn't shock me if they kept him because there is no line they're not willing to cross. When you bring on guys like Greg Hardy, when you keep guys like Rich on your team, Terrell Owens, Tank Johnson, Adam Pac-Man Jones, all these guys that have been involved in the law, this is just business as usual for Dallas. So it would not shock me if they kept him.
Yeah, so it's like, how can they call themselves? So basically, like, how can they call themselves going the New England, the Patriot way, when they don't operate like the Patriots as far as integrity over everything? And that's the way their culture is integrity over everything in New England. That's why they win championship. We don't, because we have no integrity, and it shows because we're not disciplined and we make bad moves. You know what I mean? And sometimes we late to pull the trigger too. So I get what you're saying, this guy. You know what I mean? I just think it's going to be a bad look if
it's a bad look. I agree with you.
That's what I'm saying.
You wonder though, do they care about the look? Because it is a star.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I don't even know. Because if he's not a Jerry guy, I don't see him holding on to him. Because Steven ain't got no loyalty to nobody. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? If he's a Jerry guy, yeah, Jerry gonna do everything in his power. If he's not a Jerry guy, Steven ain't gonna hold on to you.
You know the look that looks even worse is if they keep him. You got rid of a guy like Amari Cooper because let's just be real, you didn't like him. You was fed up with his vaccination status. That's a fact. You know that may not be the reason why you got rid of him, but that's part of why you were upset with him. And you blamed availability, right? Oh, you got to be available. If you keep a guy who's a part of a homicide, who's likely going to get suspended for a while, and you try to spin that over getting rid of a guy like Coop who's not in trouble, doesn't cause any friction in the locker room, I have a hard time getting behind that as a fan. A hard time getting behind that, Reek. I'm just saying. It would look real fishy.
I agree. That is, like I said, it just shows the lack of integrity that this team has. You know what I'm saying? And they expect people to put their dollars behind it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, bruh, we got murderers or people a part of murders on this squad. Come on, man. That's not a good look. But I'm going to get up off of here, man. Hopefully we get it together in Dallas, man. And moving forward, just do what we got to do to get the 6, man. But at the same time, this is definitely not a good look. It's like, come on, man. When can we have an off season that we don't have no shenanigans going on around our organization and we can just go into the season clean and ready to go handle business?
This might be the Hall of Fame off season of shenanigans for the Dallas Cowboys. Real right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Peace, Cowboy Nation.
Appreciate you giving your input and your thoughts on this, brother. Legends. We have to understand, legends of 88. Not every situation is the same. All right. He says they kept Gregory with all his issues. Gregory had mental health issues. All right. If you want to compare it, the comparison is actually Josh Brent. Remember Josh Brent killed his teammate, his best friend, after drunken driving. This is different, man. And without going, even further into it, I have a hard time thinking this is okay. It just don't sit right with me. It don't sit right with me. This young man was murdered a month ago. He didn't say anything. All right, man. Let's move on. Let's get to this ride of the week, and then we'll get into the mailbag situation. This week's ride of the week is the 2022 Hyundai Elantra. The 2022 Hyundai Elantra stands out in traffic due to its unique styling, but underneath the sharply creased sheet metal is a spacious and practical compact car. Its cabin is decked out with a similarly futuristic design, and several high-end features are offered, especially on the high-end trims that will help the wow factor with the vehicle. Great price. Their base level starting at under $22,000, and the miles per gallon I think is exceptional. 33 city, 43 highway, and that lane keeping assistant is real. I use it on my Mazda 6, and it helps me kind of. Has a little bit weird vibration to it if you're moving over in the lane. So I appreciate all those type of safety features. If you want to know more about the Freeman Hyundai Ride of the Week, check out freemanhyundai.net or visit Freeman Hyundai in Irving, Texas.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions.
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Call into the show 351-999-3787. I mean, there's no easy way to segue from something like this. And honestly, I'm glad I had some days to kind of sit on this, think about it. Because when all the information came out, there was I don't know if it's him, I don't know if it's not, even though it looked like him. Details weren't out. Now we all know the details, and I think I feel good about where I'm at with this situation. As a person, as a fan, as all that, I feel good about where I stand on it. And hopefully he, talking about Kelvin Joseph, can learn from this, be better from this. And I hope the Cowboys can learn from it and be better from it as well, because, I mean, there's a lot of risk factors in this round. So, all right, let's get into this mailbag segment. I got about 5 questions from the mailbag from Friday that we'll get to, and some of them are you guys that are on here. Yeah, Ray Lewis did catch a body. And what did Ray Lewis do? All right, man, let's go to the mailbag. Here we go. I believe this is Jeremy. We talked about this last time. Only speaking facts on Instagram. He says, with the Boss Man Fat news, does cornerback become more of a need? I just think the Cowboys would want to protect themselves just in case Boss Man can't choose his friends better. I'll correct the bottom just in case the Cowboys cut him, just in case the league, comes down on him, hard. Do they protect themselves? I'll answer your question with an easy answer. Yes, it does become more of a need. And by the way, for those that don't know, y'all can answer these as well in the chat. So Jeremy wants to know if it's more of a need. Yes. Is it the need? Is it need number one? Do you need to trade? I saw, trade up for Stingley. Nah, I don't think you need to do all that. But I guess now in these mock drafts, do you say, hey, I'm try to take a corner in the 4th, 3rd? What do you do? And now that I think about it, I'm wondering, and let me talk to you real quick. I'm wondering, did the Cowboys already protect themselves? Something I was going through my head. Because think about this for a second. Why take Nahshon Wright last year when in the 3rd round? Really didn't make much sense. Trevin Diggs is here, your future. You drafted Boss Man in the 2nd round. You signed Jordan Lewis to a 3-year deal, and Anthony Brown was coming in on his 2nd year. Why take Nahshon? A guy that doesn't have a versatility to his game. Right? He's not a guy that can slide in a slot. He's not a guy that's going to play safety. He is a boundary corner. I always thought that selection, position-wise, to me, was a head scratcher. The player was a big deal, but the position, I'm like, why are we taking 2 corners back-to-back rounds? What are we doing here? Is there something we don't know? Maybe it was Kelvin Joseph. Maybe they just weren't quite sure if he'd be able to handle this in Dallas. And if that's the case, that is a flawed draft strategy is flawed. I'm not taking the guy in the second round and then hedging my bets in the third. I don't have the what? The time. I don't got the team. I don't use the process outside of this draft to take that chance. So do y'all think it was him? Q-Dog says that's it. Rashawn says insurance. Nashawn who? Agreed. Yeah, so, I think maybe Nashawn Wright was your insurance policy. Therefore, if that's the case, if that's their strategy, maybe they're not going to take a corner in the first 2 days. I'm pretty sure not the first 2 days. But maybe not till the 5th, 6th round or what have you. And let's be honest here. We wanted Kelvin Joseph to take the next step as a player. Now we're talking about Kelvin on the field. And we all were hoping and believing that he'd jump in front of Anthony Brown. But the reality of the situation is that he played significantly in 2 games last year. The team was 12-5 without him. He wasn't a factor. Kelvin Joseph was not a factor at any given point in this season. So, will he be missed? Probably not. But it's still a waste of a pick. If he's not on the team anymore, it's a waste. All right, let's get back into it. Here we go. Ronnie Everett. Shout out to Ronnie. He be on the volume over there with Watch's show I'm on. He says, why do so many fans believe losing Amari Cooper and Randy Gregory is so insurmountable? Neither are top 10 players at their position. Well, I'll answer that part. I don't think fans believe losing Amari and Randy Gregory is so insurmountable. It's the frustration of the compensation you got for Amari, number one. And both this now applies to both Amari and Randy. These are really good players, right? Because damn if they're top 10 or not to you. They're really good players. So you when you lose talented guys like that, I think as a fan base, you want to say, okay, how do we replace that? How do we move forward with that? And I know a lot of people talk themselves into everything is okay, and that's fine. And it very well could be. But at the end of the day, as a fan, you want to see your team add that type of talent, right? You want to see your team continue to add on top of that. And you lost Randy, you lost Coop, and we don't think they've done that just yet. So I think that's where fans are frustrated. I don't think they're looking at Cooper and Randy as Aaron Donald and Randy Moss. You know what I'm saying? But I think people kind of, in regards to Mark Cooper, they like to hang on to what happened last year and forget about what he did for this team over the last 4 years total, which I think is a mistake. But hey. Then the second part is, and why are so many sour on Kellen Moore? Our offense has been either the best or near the best since he's become the OC. Coaches grow and develop just like players do. I'll answer that question with my opinion on the Kellen Moore part. And I do agree with the bottom part. That's been my whole thing with Kellen. Maybe he takes that next step. But why are so many sour on Kellen? Well, just go look at the games against the better teams, the better defenses, etc. Haven't been the greatest game plans. They just haven't. And when I look at first half of the season compared to second half of the season, coaching, that could have been a great time for the coach, for Kellen, for Mike McCarthy to grab the season by the balls, right, and say, I got this. I got this. Yeah, Tyron's hurt. Dak's banged up. Zeke is banged up. Short offensive line is not. But watch me work. Watch me win a couple of these games for y'all. I got you. That never happened. That never happened. I know a lot of people say, oh, the players play the coach's coach. Sure, they do. Absolutely. Players have to have some accountability in this as well. But as we always say, can the coach get me a couple? I need you to get me a couple when things aren't great, when the horse is on around. Just get me a couple of these things. And I just didn't like the game plans with Kellen Moore. He went away from some things that worked earlier in the season, and I just didn't quite understand it. And we can get on the whole Amari Cooper thing, but he kind of told on himself into how his system operates. which I think can be a flaw when it comes to these good defenses or playoffs. It can be a bit of a flaw. Adrian says, fans assume we won't get better, and I think it could go either way. Yeah, it always can go either way. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee at all. But if you had to put your money where your mouth is right now, put your emotions to the side as we speak, can't tell me this team got better, brother. Not right now. There's a lot of time left, but not right now. Ian said, Kellen got to get a playoff dub this year. That's funny, putting it on an OC win-loss record. Kellen just got to get better. That's all. Oscar says, Kellen knew how to call plays against the NFC East. Ooh. Joe, we need to stop blaming Coop for his production. Go down. His production going down. It was Kellen's play calling, not Coop. I mean, that's I think it was a multitude of things, and I definitely don't put everything on the player in general. I put most of it on the game plan and the quarterback, which I think is executing said game plan, and I don't think he needs to do that all the time. This team will be better. Our culture will be better, and I'm going to troll the crap out of Cowboys fans, says Jose. I said, we need a win. Cowboys Nation need a win, man. All we got right now is battling each other on whether this is a good or bad team. I don't think this is a bad team, by the way. It should, barring any injury, this should be a double-digit win team. Where it matters for me will come playoff time. But hey, appreciate the Skittles and Rainbows you got for Jose. Because right now, you speaking in strictly Skittles and Rainbows. And hey, sometimes we need that in Dallas Cowboys land because there's a lot of negative stuff that's going around. But I'm gonna leave that for real, bro. My bad, wrong one. Mr. Wright, Antoine Myers, my guy, salute. He says, can we manage with a number 1 wideout and a number 2 in Gallup? Or do we need another first-round wideout to do something in this offense? I don't think the wide receiver is the reason why or why not this offense will be successful. This will come down to offensive line. This will come down to quarterback, and this will come down to play caller. More weapons helps. Absolutely. You know? Right now, though, going into the season, you don't have a number 2 in Gallup. You're not going to get Gallup back likely till October at the very earliest if he's not put on the PUP list, which keeps him out for the first 6 weeks of the season. At least. So wideout is a need. Is it a first-round need? That's arguable. I think there's maybe one position you can argue is an absolute immediate first-round need. And I'm not talking about you have to take them there, but because you don't have a starter, and that's left guard. So can they manage? I'm going to go with your words. Yeah, sure. They can manage. You can manage with a CD Lamb and Washington and Simi Fehoko and Noah Brown. They'll manage. And when Gallup comes back, yeah, they'll probably manage for a few weeks. Gallup won't be ready right away to just take the top off the defense and just start crushing it. It'll take him a few weeks to get his legs back, right? But if you get a stud that's there, I do think you jump on it. What we have to do is we have to stop pretending like these quarterbacks don't need weapons. Multitude of them. Go tell Tom Brady, you can't have Mike Evans, and you can't have what's the cat's name from Penn State? Slipping my mind. Y'all help me out here. You go tell Pat Mahomes, you can't have Tyreek, and you can't have Kelsey for X amount of time or what have you. If getting weapons didn't matter, Godwin, thank you. If getting weapons didn't matter, you wouldn't see the Buffalo Bills trading for wide receivers. You wouldn't see Derek Carr and the Raiders trying to go out and get Devontae Adams to pair with Waller. So you need dudes. You do. Let's get to the next one. I don't know how to pronounce this one, brother, but this came from YouTube. Is it Lysic01 says, Would like to see which players from the practice squad will be able to step up in the 2022 season. Not a whole lot that I'm have faith in. Isaac Adacombe, he is one of the guys as a fan favorite that has an opportunity to do something, especially when you look at the guard position, right? Even if they draft a guy, Isaac could maybe turn into your swing guy. Tyler Coyle, I believe is his name, the safety. I'm interested to see him. Saw him up close and personal last year at camp. I like the way he moves. His tape coming out of college. Explosive type of athlete. But again, at that position, I need you to be a little bit more heady and then let your athleticism catch up to that. I'd rather it be that way around as opposed to being just a guy who has some athletic traits to him but doesn't really know what's going on back there, because that is the most important thing. You got to have a high football IQ. So I'm going to say Alacone and Coyle as guys that could potentially step up from the practice squad. Israel Mukwamu was not on the practice squad. He was on the team, if I'm not mistaken. They would have had to cut him, and they didn't cut him. Below the heavens, I want cake. Yeah, so who y'all think from the practice squad could make some noise? My two, Adacone and Coyle. Mostly because of opportunity, right? I don't think KZ's coming back. As much as we like the young buck Mukwamu, he's still a 6th or 6th round pick. And Coyle is not too far off in regards to that. So I think he could be battling him if they don't take one in the draft. So TJ Vasher, that's another good one. And for me, I like size in the league at a multitude of positions. Definitely wide receiver. He's 6'6". Figure that out. Hey, man, go watch Plexico Burrs. Go watch Carmichael. Go watch one of these tall, lanky, long dudes and learn the nuances of the game if you really want to make it in this league, because you're a practice squad player. That's one. I would like to see that one. Saywu. Jay Carter says Kamara. Kamara is no longer on the team. Beoko, I don't think he was on the practice squad. He ended up getting on a roster, never played, but he might have been at one point. Trips Aces. Ian says we got a kicker on that practice squad. And he's laughing. Ironically, the Cowboys did cut a kicker, a punter, to be precise. They cut Hunter Niswander or whatever his name is. Maybe they'll bring him back, but he's gone. JoJo, DiNucci having a career year. DiNucci reminds me of the quarterback version of Noah Brown. He somehow just continues to keep staying around this team, and I think he's going to be here next year too. Brian, is Maurice Kennedy returning? I don't know if he was on the practice squad, but remember, he returned last year in preseason, then he got hurt, and they put him on IR, I think, to save him. So, if Kelvin Joseph, I may call him that no more. If Kelvin Joseph is not on this team, maybe they bring back Kennedy, or maybe they just draft a guy. That's what I figure, Jose. He said Simi was on the roster the whole season. I didn't think he got cut. People are sleeping on him. I mean, can you blame him? He's got the traits. And we talked about him on Thursday. He has the opportunity now. Regardless if they bring in a draft pick, he still has an opportunity. He just has to put it all together. But, of course, you're going to sleep on a guy who didn't play at all and who was mediocre in the preseason. Maybe not his fault, but nonetheless, it's not like he just wowed you in preseason. So, we got to see it with some of these guys. And that's the thing as fans sometimes, and I'm guilty of this. We got to stop anointing these players or just handing it to, he's going to ball out. Based on what? Well, because I believe it. All right, but is there data? Is there film? Like, what is there to show you that he's going to ball out year 3 in the league? Not talking about Simi, just in general. Well, I just hope he does. All right, well, then say that. I like Brandon Smith, the wide receiver. Adrian doesn't like people coming at AB. I'm cool. By the way, people wanted to cut AB before all this went down. I was all in favor of, hey, man, load that room up. May the best man win. And then once you get to the dwindling down in preseason and in training camp, maybe then you look to ship off somebody and get a 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick in return. Let's get back to the mailbag. Hugh Lee. Am I saying that right? With the number of needs that we have, do you think it would make more sense to trade back and pick up an additional second round pick? This year's draft isn't top heavy and pretty consistent in later rounds. Might be the way to go. Let me just say something. I feel like I hear these cliches every year in regards to, this year's draft is top heavy. But that seems to be the consensus. It's not like last year we had a bunch of just superstars in that top 10. This year it seems to be more spread out. So I am all in favor of trading down if it makes sense. We talked about this for weeks. And we even did a project, right? We said, hey, Jerry talking about trading up. Let's try to trade up project. And we traded up with the Chargers and we got Davis. But in reality, I'm trying to acquire more picks for a team that relies on these picks. So I am definitely down with trading down. Now he says picking up an additional second. Because if you trade down into the second, that's not really picking up an additional second. So if you're saying trade to like 31 and that team gives you a second round pick, sure. Depends where the board's at. But they got to be careful. They got to be real careful because they are going to need those first two picks, at the very least, the first two picks to come in here and have a big impact on this team. Whether that's fair or not, they're going to need it. Prime Time says trade back, make the cookie go whoop. Trip says you trading the mock draft was perfect. Don't overthink it. Yeah, I did love that one. Don't get me wrong. Now we got Jordan Davis and we were able to still get another pick, right? We were able to trade back down in the second round and get some more picks. But again, it's fantasy. That's stuff we're hoping for. But they have to be careful with that trade up, because what if you cannot go back down, right? And get an extra pick and you're just stuck with what do we have? 1, 2, and then you don't pick again until 100 and something. Trips wants me to go over the mock again. I don't think I have. I might have it. I might have the visual. I'll pull it up if I do. I put it on Twitter actually, just to see. Hey, we came up with an interactive mock draft. Here we go. I just threw it up there. Here y'all go, y'all. Let me size this up. This was the interactive mock draft that we did on Thursday. It was a project about trading up in the first round because Jerry Jones talked about it. And we went with Jordan Davis by giving up 88 and 167, but we got 123. Then when we got to the second round, we were able to trade down, and we were trying to get a guard. So we could have got Jamari or Darian Kennard. We ended up going with Kennard, then Sam Williams, Cade Otton, and Taquan Thornton. That was the interactive mock draft we did on Thursday. And I said I could live with this mock. But it's the draft, right? Like, excuse me. There's so many different variations of this draft I can live with. And if we're being completely honest, there's going to be players taken, just like for me. And again, I don't study 300 and something players. There's going to be players taken next week that were like,
Who in the blue hell are you?
who? Go do some studying, go freshen up, and you're like, all right, let's see what we can do with these people. And as to be expected, if you're not, the Vaches of the world, the JCs, the Bruglers, the Footses, these guys know hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of prospects. I know some of y'all in here are draft people like that. Y'all study hundreds and hundreds of prospects, allegedly. I don't. So I'm not going to pretend that I do. I lean on my guys. I have them direct me towards the right ways, and I go check it out myself, and then I come up with my own opinion if I like said player or not. But that's going to happen. 9 times out of 10, the Cowboys take players that's not even on your parameter. Nashawn Wright being one of them. All right, I'll hop into the chat for a little bit before we get out of here. If you do want to call in, 351-999-3787. Let me tell you about this worth the pour before we get to the phone lines and the chat. One thing we can all agree on is watching the Cowboys or following the Cowboys can be stressful. Take the edge off of game days. Stop by Worth the Poor Spirits and Wine in the colony of Texas. They are a family-owned and operated luxury liquor store with affordable prices and a wide variety of spirit, wine, and beer samples, making your drink of choice decision easier than ever. To make Worth the Poor part of your game day routine, download the app, the Worth the Poor app, and their app allows you to schedule orders for delivery whether you're in Denton County or not. And if you use the discount code A to Z Sports, you get 5% off any of your orders with $20 or more. If you use Worth the Poor, if you go in there, do us a favor and tell them that A to Z Sports is the reason why you're here. They would love to hear that. Great company, a great family-owned business. Enjoy working with those guys. Worth the Poor, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Keemerson. When it rains, it pours. Touche, sir. Touche. Jose says the only defensive selection at 24 I would not be mad at is Devin Lloyd. Ooh, boy. I'll be pissed if they take a defender then because I don't think he's going to be there. One thing I've learned since doing this, no matter the pick, Cowboys Nation is not going to be happy. And one thing I learned from myself from last year, not last 2 years covering the draft, I got excited for certain picks, and certain picks you could visibly see me like, what? I don't like it type thing. I'm going to try to stray away from I don't like the pick to I need more understanding of the pick. Because, grades are cool, and we'll do grades. We'll have fun with that. I'll grade the pick. And I like to do different things as opposed to grading the pick. I like to call rating the draft, where we rate those guys in different categories. But I'm not about to sit here and give a final grade on a draft that happened hours ago that just finished up, right? We need to know it's going to take some time. So if there's a pick that I'm not comfortable with or I don't understand or I don't know, it's going to be one of those things where I need to go do some digging. I need to go figure out what's up. But if I do know the player, I can give more of a straightaway answer. But I'm not going to be faking no funk about a pick. Because one guy that I didn't study a whole lot was Osa. And the reason why was because I looked at Osa as a tweener, and this was before we realized that Dan Quinn was going to run this kind of hybrid situation. So in my study, I look at Osa as a prospect. I see the height, weight, and all that stuff, and I'm like, it's a bit of a tweener. The Cowboys don't usually roll with these type of guys. Take a little. I'm good. Let's move on to guys I think fit their requirements. They take Osa, and I go, guys, what are we doing? We got a 3-tech, right? Tristan Hill and Neville Gallimore. I'm like, what are you doing? He played some 5. They want to put him out there. I wasn't sure. Wasn't that happy. Went back, fully studied Osa, and I was like, yo, I like this kid. I like the traits. I like the thought process. Listen to Dan Quinn talk about after the draft, in the draft presser, of how they visualize using Osa. And I got down with that. Now, it didn't happen with everybody. Golston, I went back and looked, and I was just like, I still feel a little weird about it. Nashon, I was like, we'll see. But Osa I did come around to, and it was a pick I didn't like last year, just be real. So I'm just asking y'all to do the same thing. Don't freak out just yet. Now, if they do something, if they take a running back in round 1 or 2, right, a tight end in the first round, all right, listen, go crazy. But I just urge y'all to take a step back, especially if you don't know the prospect. Figure it out, go do some study, then come on back. Jose said, I broke my TV with the Travis Frederick pick. Looks like I was an idiot. Jose, you weren't the only one. I was happy as hell with that pick. I was shocked to see Cowboys Nation. This was blogging the boys time. This is when I was on there. And I was stunned to see so many people pissed. I'm like, yo, do y'all not realize Phil Costa and Bill Nagy have been the centers? Maybe because center's not a sexy pick. Maybe O-line, social media wasn't as big back then, so O-line didn't get a lot of praise like O-line is getting now, but I thought that was a fantastic pick. Ian says he wanted Osa. Tripp says, Cowboys, you got to understand how important the center position is. Yeah, that's where I was at that time. I hated the player, not the person, the Bill Nagy and Phil Costa situation. That pissed me off. I got tired of seeing balls getting – just don't send me back there. Jose, ooh, I like this. Sam Williams might be the next it's actually Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter was a freak athletically. Sam has some freak ability to him. He's not as twitchy as Danielle, but that is a very interesting comp because from Cowboys fans, there were people that were willing to pass on Danielle, and the Cowboys did it. They could have took Danielle, but they took Gregory. There are some similarities in the production. Danielle didn't have much production in LSU, but Sam has a lot of production at Ole Miss, and he's an athletic freak. But he has some downside to him that could scare teams off. But I'm not mad at that comp. JT the Pipe Layer says, can we trade for Danielle Hunter? Not a draft question. Probably not anymore. AJ, DT or linebacker in the second round? Linebacker. What wide receivers possibly in the mid-30s would you throw a team or second and third for Sky? Pickens, Sky Moore. Probably the only two. Are we in agreement with that? If George Pickens falls to 37, 38, if we're going to come up, he's a guy I would do that. Oh, I ain't sleeping on Jamison Williams, Mark Smith. Jamison Williams is my wide receiver 1 in this draft. I would love Jamison Williams. I'm mad that he tore his ACL, but that might help. I like the comparison, okay, for Sam Williams, says Oscar. Y'all ain't right in this chat. Let me tell you something. For those that are listening back here, you'll hear me laughing a lot. You'll hear me, just randomly saying stuff in the chat. That's because the chat is lit. Like, if you're not here during the live show, be here. You'll have a lot of fun in this chat as long as you don't take things too seriously or you're not thin-skinned, right? We have healthy discussions in here. I say this all the time. Y'all the truth. And even for those that are not participating in the chat, but you're watching, that helps a whole lot. So y'all the truth. Do me a favor, man. At this moment, right this second, if you're watching this thing, everybody on 3, hit the like button if you haven't. 1, 2, 3. Appreciate you. B47 Vic says it was always about the scheme. TC boneheaded move, but still they needed a 4-3-N, not 3-4. I think you're talking about Randy Gregory. Okay, so actually, remember we did the draft, and because Lauren just brought this up, he says I like the wide receiver Kyle Phillips from UCLA. He was one of the guys that was brought up last week that I didn't know, and then call him Easy E, but I cannot remember how to say his last name. The cat from Texas Tech. Whoever brought him up, thank you. I like that guy. I have no idea, Cowboys Nation. Maybe somebody can tell me where, and somebody bring up his name. I don't want to disrespect his name and butcher it. Eric Izukanma? Eric Izukanma. We're going with Easy. If you haven't checked him out, go check out this dude. I think he'd be a really good consolation prize, if you want to call it that, if you miss out on wide receivers in rounds 1 and 2. I'm not sure if he'll be there in round 3. I mean, y'all can tell me. If he is, that's somebody I'd consider. Big wide receiver, fast wide receiver, physical. I like the aggressive guys that are go after it to the ball. Yes. And I'll put his name in here so y'all can see it as well for some people. I pronounce it wrong. Here we go. Eric Izukanma. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I appreciate you, Ray. Ray says, what's up, bro? Love your channel. Thank you, man. I love the appreciation and you being here. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into the phone line real quick before we get out of here. We got 972 on the horn. What's up, 972?
What's up, man? This is who, Mac Jones.
Who? Mac Jones. Let me save you, Mac Jones. I thought I had you in here. What's up, brother?
Hey, man. Number 24 got to go, dog. Number 24 got to go. He a
Hey.
snitch. He a snitch, Will.
And that's the
He a
part.
snitch.
And that's the
And-
part that made me say, Mac, like if you're in the locker room, I can't be with you, fam. For a multitude
You
of
can't
reasons.
trust him.
I can't trust you,
Exactly. You
and
can't trust you.
your judgment is weird, right?
Yes. Yes. He gonna be telling on Zeke in the club, man. Zeke gonna be in the club. He might snitch on Zeke, dog. I don't know, man.
With all jokes aside, I don't think he'll snitch in that manner, in the sense of, yo, we out, something happened, I'm gonna go tell the team. I don't think he'll do that.
He just did it.
Well, here's why.
We got all kind of memes on First 48 where a dude go inside, they give him a soda
Y'all
and
ain't
a
right.
cigarette.
Oh, damn.
he come
Y'all
out, two
laughing
people
at
got to go in.
So, but that's the thing, right? If he gets pressured by higher ups, hey man, you need to tell me what's going on, or I'm cutting you, type stuff. Well, we just found out, allegedly, he gonna tell. But more importantly, more importantly, a life was lost, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that was sad. That was sad, man.
Like your
That dude
man's.
I remember reading that article back in March. That was an article back in March, and the mama was pleading, somebody please come forward. And, he just didn't say nothing. So, I watched plenty of gangster movies and plenty of movies like that where it's blood in, blood out, where you got to kind of live with this if that's the life you want to live. And I see the talent. I see him with a lot of great potential talent, but it's just that I guess he still wants to be the rapper. He still wants to be the street guy. What do we have with him?
Let me tell you this, Mac. This is a crucial point in Kelvin Joseph's life. He has to make a decision right now. The fact that he's not been charged and he'll likely get off for whatever reasons, whether it be him telling or not, whatever. He is fortunate to not be charged in a murder case. So he has to make a decision right now. Do I want to be this street persona? And it may not be a persona. Maybe he is a street dude like that, right? But do I want to live that life, no matter if you were a street dude? Do I want to live that life? Or do I want to make a better life for me and my family and my child or what have you, and separate myself from that? He needs to make that decision right now, because he may not have another opportunity like this again. He may either A, be in jail, B, be 6 feet under, or C, be unemployed. So he needs to make that decision right now, y'all.
That's right.
And I think we've all been there. Matt.
That's all I'm trying to. I'm just trying to see where you was headed with it. And you speaking the facts that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because this is bad, man.
It's bad.
This is your year two, and it happened in the city, in Dallas. It happened in the city that somebody got murdered. You didn't say nothing until they got you on tape, and now you telling everything.
It's ugly. It's ugly all around. And that's why I think they need a clean cut. He needs to start somewhere else. If that means he got to take a year off to get his life together or whatever it be, or go to a different organization, I don't think Dallas is the place to be for him.
You're right. The media. I seen him walk. I seen he came out.
The nightlife, the big city.
Yep.
You need to
the
be in.
Media's going to eat him alive.
You need to be in Idaho somewhere. I'm trying to think. Buffalo is one of the cities. One of those teams.
All right, that's all I got, man. I love the show, man.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, Matt. Crucial point in Kelvin Joseph's life, not just his career, in his life. He's got to make a decision. And, I can't speak for everybody, but I'd imagine at some point in your life, there are friends or a group of people that you had to be like, to get to where I want to get to, I can't continue to do those things. Snoop Dogg, somebody posted something on Twitter. He said something about, he called it the gap. He said, you're hanging around people when you start these things and then you start to ascend as a person or in that career or whatever, there becomes a gap. One or two things can happen. You can close the gap by coming back down to all that goofiness, or they can close the gap by coming up with you. If they not closing the gap, I'm keeping it moving. Especially when I got kids. Because as a father, I do a lot of my decisions I make as a more mature person. When I was a buck, yeah, I gave y'all a very brief situation of what happened, but there's a lot of things. Yeah. But anyway, as a father, I had to make decisions not just for me, but for my kids. I want to leave something behind for my children. I want to be a better person for my children, a better father, a better brother, a better friend, a better just person. I can't do that if I'm hanging around so-and-so who's shooting up the club. Because then I become a hypocrite when I tell minds not to do that. So choose your circle carefully. And if you got to remove somebody and turn that thing into a triangle, then damn it, turn it into a triangle. Young athletes really need to think about their future. I know it's hard because of social medias. They prop these young bucks up, man. Hey, we're going to do a reveal for your college at your high school. That's just wild to me now. And they make this into a national spectacle. So already y'all making these guys superstars that feel they above the law. Especially if you are a certain color, you know damn well you ain't above that law. So somebody need to be in your ear. I ain't mean to go back on there, but that's rough. Hey, I got to get my guy James Reynolds on here. What's up, good brother?
God! What's going on, man? Happy Easter, Resurrection Sunday, you know what I'm saying? You know, hope y'all family had a good time, man. Hope y'all had some good food yesterday, got some good eggs in, man. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Just getting ready for this whole week, man. How you?
Oh, man, you know, I'm prime repping, ready for this draft, man. I'm excited, man. You know, it's been, you know, but I'm kind of in this different place because, you know, we're thinking about the whole boss man fast situation, man. It's like, well, now do we go corner, you know, round, you know what I'm saying, 2, 3 or something, you know, because, I mean, he's not going to be there, man. That brother's probably going to be in jail, you know.
Well, he hasn't been charged, so I don't think he'll be in jail.
He hasn't been, but, you know, okay, so, but that's a good point. I'm thinking about it, though, you know what I'm saying? He got to be an accessory to murder. It hurt my heart even saying this, you know, thinking about, man, where he came from.
I'm not a lawyer, so I have no clue. All I know is he talked. Next day, 2 dudes were arrested. He was not charged. So, you know, from the outside looking in, it looked like, you know, he's going to be okay.
Ooh, let's hope, man. Let's hope. But man, hey, you know what I'm saying? You know, and it's like, we say this all the time, man, let this be a message to all the other young men. Yes. Boy, they must don't be reading or watching the news or something, or they got this super crime hero mentality. Oh, that was just him, but it will be me because I'm gonna do X, Y, Z and be caught again. I don't know, man, but you know, it's tough, bro, just to see how that plays out. But it's a story that we've seen too many times, man. Think about Josh Brent.
Let me just say something real quick. But I just saw something in this chat. Cause I don't get down with this. Whoever this Christopher Jones is, sir, you can go on get. I'm not judging Boss Man Fat #1, aka Kelvin Joseph, for clicks and subscriptions. Man, get the calm down, sir. I hate to even be talking about this crap. Okay. But it revolves the Dallas Cowboys, and you can learn life lessons from this. There may be a young kid watching this that needs to hear something like this so that they cannot make the same decision. So there is nothing done here about no damn. I don't need no clips and subscriptions to get paid. I'm going to get paid regardless. So Mr. Christopher Jones, if you got a problem with the way we do things around here, get the stepping. I digress. Go ahead.
That should have been a drop right there. Drop the fuse mark. Boom. Hey, let them know. Stall them out, Sky. Stall them out, Sky. Everybody all emotional
People
about it,
weird,
man. It's being, yeah, they weird, man. I mean, but I gotta be fair. I was kind of the same way. I'm like, man, he ain't even do nothing. This the black man in the white world. And then I talked to my mom. My mom was like, boy, what you mean? He was a witness to a murder and didn't say nothing for a month. He gone. And I was like, ooh, mama, you right. And that's when it clicked and it hurt because it's like, you know how the culture is, don't snitch and all this other foolishness,
right.
You know what I'm saying? And what we're not looking at is even going into, the understanding of the economics of, Black America and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you make it to that place, to that status, you know what I'm saying? Your responsibility is bigger than just you. A lot of people want to say, man, just let me live my life and stuff like that. But when you make it to those heights, you now become a gatekeeper. You open the door for somebody else. You teach them, hey, this is how I made it, this is how I did it, this and that, da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? There's some things I went through that could have negatively affected me. You don't do these things, so you have an easier path. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the bigger responsibility that I think a lot of players are not tapping into when they're younger. And I think part of that is because when you're in college, especially if you go into a Power 5, D1, something like that, you know what I'm saying? You're being matured, you're being mentored to work on your craft, to be the football player, to, football. And you're not getting that that nurturing, that mentoring to see, okay, you got football right now, but this football going to create this opportunity for you and all these people 10, 15, 20 years after you're done with football. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's a big issue. I don't want to get too far into that because I ain't trying to bring the show down. You know what I'm talking about?
No. But that's you're right. You need some type of mentorship, right? You need somebody at least in your circle, and if it's not going to be in your circle, outside your circle that you can talk to help you aid you through this difficult part of your life. It may not seem difficult because you the man, right? Hey, everything's great. We the man, but you're going to be faced with some adverse situations and some tough decisions. And, I don't have the answers, right? Not everybody has that person in their life. But if I could say something to a young athlete, I say find that person. Find that person to where things get difficult, you can go to and talk to them, and they can maybe help you make the right decision.
Yes. Man, that's so true, and my bad, Sky.
Now you good, bro.
Little banana got me. But, I think I think that if we get something like that, these guys going into college and, kind of get them that direction beyond just playing football and, being a superstar and stuff like that. But this is, direction of, hey, you're going to use this to do this in your community or do that. I think that'll change the perspective, and they'll see themselves. They'll value themselves more than, I'm more than just this football player. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm this person that these people are dependent on, looking up to, you know what I'm saying? Let me hold myself, carry myself, but yeah, that's a conversation that needs to be had, but I wonder now, does, in the Cowboys' eyes, does this raise the draft possibility for Derek Stingley Jr.? That's my question.
In what way? Like trading, or if he falls to you?
If he falls, not trading. No.
Now, if he falls to
like
you at 24, I think that was always a thing, right? Like, if he falls to you, you kind of got to really have that conversation. Do I want to take him or whoever else is on the board? But I don't think you need to trade up for him.
No. Yeah, and shout out to Boss Cowboy when he reviewed the tape. He really showed some pivotal flaws in his game.
Yeah, he did.
For us, and I hate it, but he was truthful.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine he's gonna. I hope he drops some type of film study that shows the positives that he did, because we could take every single last one of these dudes, these prospects, and just do a film session on all the negatives, and we could drive their value down. But there's good tape
Yeah.
on him as well, not just bad tape. There's a reason why he's most likely going to be a top 15 pick is because the talent is he has a ridiculous amount of talent. It's just a matter of putting it all together and maybe getting rid of those injury concerns.
Yeah. You know, high ceiling, high floor. We you know how it goes. Usually your top 10, top 15, they are both high ceiling and high floor. You know, so. But you know, and this is the last thing I interject.
Sure.
There was a guy I was checking out yesterday when I was supposed to be spending Easter time with my kids. You know, forgive me for being a bad father. But this is a guy out of South Alabama. I don't know. I haven't heard much chirp about him, if any. I think his name is Joe Colbert or Joe Tolbert. You know what I'm saying? Wide receiver. Man, had some true hands on him. Had range. Had good speed at the top of the route.
You talking about Tolbert from
Might not
South
have the
Alabama?
best- Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I give him a 4th round. If we could pick him up in the 4th round, I think he could replace who we had in Malik Turner.
I don't know if he'll fall that. I got a feeling these wide receivers, a lot of these top 20 wide receivers are going to go in the top 3 rounds. But sure, I mean, Tolbert would be, he's just from a smaller school that they don't really like in regards to McClay. So I'm not getting my hopes up on a guy, but I think he is a baller.
Yeah, I was watching the tape, and then I had one of those, man, okay, Khalil Shakir, or now this guy. I was like, whoa.
I like Shakir.
This is a deep draft. We talking about wide receiver. This is a deep wide receiver linebacker. This is a deep draft. This is a deep draft. But that's all I had, Sky. Appreciate you always bringing me on. If y'all have y'all in here, please hit that like button, that subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the share, because all your Cowboys content objectively is going to be here. So there's no place else you need to be if you want Cowboys coverage except A to Z with my boy Sky. We taking it to the top, baby. Love you, Sky. You have a good one. Keep bringing the heat.
Appreciate you as always, James. Great call, man. Great call. Don't even play into that, my dear. Don't even play into that. Good stuff today. I do got a 478. You got about a couple minutes, brother. We trying to get out of here by 10. I'm gonna let you come in. You did call, and I appreciate all the callers. 478, what up?
What's going on, Sky? Man, long time listener, first time caller.
Thanks, bro.
And I'm just, this whole thing, it's sickening. Condolences to the family, of course. Nobody deserves that. I haven't been listening the first part of the show, out running some errands and stuff. But the one thing that I don't think nobody has talked about, what he did was stupid, and he's got to pay the consequences for it.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing nobody ever talked about, and I haven't heard nobody talk about, this kid is young. So where are the NFL supposed to be a brotherhood, right?
Sure.
Am I right or wrong?
It is.
So where are the big brothers in this? Where are your Michael Irvins who's went through stuff like this? Where's your your Emmitt Smith? Hell, even Dion. Where are your big brothers? Even the guys, the not so superstar type guys that's played Dallas and that still got, what are they to pull this kid to the side? And even CD, like I said this when CD got drafted, that whole debacle, with the girl and stuff and the phone, like somebody should have just, Mike, I said Mike because he's wearing his number. Mike should have pulled that man to the side. Hey, man, those type of people around you, they're going to drag you down, man. I don't see any mentorship, no kind of leadership nowhere in this organization.
Well, let me stop you because you're going into two different things here. Two different things. if we're talking about leadership, that is fair to question, because a lot of us say Dak's the leader on offense, and then on defense you got J-Ron Curse, but then you brought up guys like a Michael Irvin. There's no Michael Irvin on this team and things like that. I think the Cowboys could use a little bit more leadership on the team. But what is Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Deion Sanders? What do you expect them to do for Kelvin Joseph? I'm just a bit curious. Are you talking about after the fact or beforehand?
Well, beforehand, everybody knew, his persona coming in.
Sure.
Everybody know that he was a rapper and stuff like that. He was in them streets. So, where was that mentor to come in? Hey, it's okay, you do your little rap thing, but you can't bring everybody with you.
Yeah, I don't know who his guy was. They usually have what's the cat's name? He's the assistant head coach on this team. He's really supposed to be handling a lot of these troubled players in a sense. Rob something, I forget his last name. I think he's that guy for Kelvin to keep out of trouble. But even with that, Kelvin has to mature, right? He has to mature.
Yeah.
I have a tough time. I'm not saying you're laying blame on Emmitt or Deion, and I'm using the names you use, or Michael Irvin, but I have a really hard time, getting on anybody else, especially a former player like that, for not, quote unquote, not being there for him prior to it. Like, that's kind of tough to say, and kind of unfair, if I'm being honest. Kind of unfair to those guys. But maybe in the locker room, right? Like you said, CD Lamb. Maybe they're not cool.
I'm not blaming them, but at the same time, those guys can be closer to
Rob
the team.
Davis,
If they're legends like they say they are, and they love their Cowboys for life, then okay, why aren't you closer with the team now? I'm not saying you got to go in there every game and make a speech, but at some point, behind the scenes, like even after this is all blown over, because it's gonna blow over, somebody needs to go there and talk to this kid.
100%.
Like, I'm sure. Yeah, and we Sky, we know the stats, we know the situation, how most likely how this kid came up. He come up without a father, so he's gonna need that older male to come there and mentor him. So that's my point. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not blaming anybody. Right. I'm not saying that he just did something young and dumb and he's excused from it. No, but where do we pick up the pieces? Because he still has to live life.
Yeah, you're saying where's the leadership council in a sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back to what I've been saying about, having these young players. They, I hope they search for or have a guy in their circle that can steer them away from these things. But end of the day, they gotta make that decision though. At the end of the day.
Exactly.
That's another.
But I appreciate the call. I appreciate you answering my call, man. Like I said, long time listener, man. Everybody like the guy before me said, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Go tell everybody, man. But, keep doing your thing, Sky.
Thanks, brother.
I'm always be listening. Cowboys for life.
Appreciate you, bro. Rashawn George makes a good point here. Something that I probably should say, because I keep talking about these mentorships and things. In order to mentor someone, they have to want to be mentored. You've got to want to take that advice. And a lot of times when you're young, you ain't trying. You feel invincible. So let's see if this is the turning point in his life, which in a sense will help his career moving forward. All right. We got that out of the way. I'm sure maybe some more things will pop up. We'll obviously hear what happens with him from a suspension standpoint, if he's going to be on the team standpoint. But let's kick this thing back into gear the rest of the week. Draft is a week and a half away. We'll be making sure to cover the first, second. I don't know about day 3 or not, but the first 2 days we'll be covering that. Not the whole draft, just when the Cowboys come up for picks. So we'll get back into that. Get back into maybe there's some things the Cowboys can do to help complete this team by the time the draft gets here. Because as we stand right now, It's far from it. Far from it. See, this is where y'all got to go. I don't know who y'all up in here arguing with, but people getting wild. Yeah, you gone, brother. You know, sit your. Ooh, let me get out of here before I start saying stuff. Appreciate y'all. Let me go ahead and press this button. See, I gotta get more like my boy Vach, who he be ignoring half of y'all. I don't like that. I don't like certain things I see, and I be wanting to speak up. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get up out of here. Press this button, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Hit that like button on the way out. Hit that sub button on the way out. Tune in later. We got Mauricio Rodriguez coming through the show. Coming through the channel for A to Z Sports Prime Time. I'll holler at y'all. Love y'all. We out of here. Peace.